welcome back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. We're glad to have you with us this Sunday afternoon. And, we love to talk real estate. Always want to talk about the market and what's going on. And now I've got a great guest on here to talk to you. We have the Texas State Representative from District 126, Patricia Harless, is here with us to talk about some of the things going on in Northwest Houston. So welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
So tell us, one of the things that I definitely want to talk about is the economic growth, because there's been so much going on in Northwest Houston. So tell us a little bit about what you see going on.
Well, with Exxon moving to the Northwest area and other businesses that have relocated here, mainly because we're unincorporated, so there's a lot less restrictions in building and construction than in the city. And our climate out here, we have great transportation infrastructure with 45, 290, and the Beltway connecting those. It makes it easy to get in and out of town. And so businesses are happy to relocate here.
Are we going to see a lot more growth in 2014? Because like you mentioned, we've got Exxon, we've got a lot of oil and gas projects going on. Are we going to see a lot more people moving in 2014, or are we just going to see growth of the companies that are here?
Well, I know statewide they say there's 1,000 people a day moving to Texas.
That's a lot of people.
So I think Texas continues to grow, and our forecasted growth for 2020 is incredible. But we're pretty much developed out here. There's very little raw land left. So I think as we continue to grow out here, it'll start moving further north. I know the Woodlands has experienced great growth, so has Montgomery. But we've pretty much developed all of our land in my district.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of land left. And we've talked before on the show about projects like Bender's Landing that have the 1 acre lots. There aren't any new developments coming in that offer 1 acre lots. You're going to get your 60, 80 foot lots, and that's it. So it's interesting because I talk to a lot of consumers who want that. They want to buy some land, and you have to go farther out to get it.
Well, I think it's important, and a lot of the developers have done it the last few years, is to continue the quality of life. And I know I live in Champion Forest subdivision, and I've lived there since the 70s with my parents. And then as I grew up and got married, we moved back there as well. And there's a big movement to do the Cypress Creek Greenway. Because it's important to live in an urban community or suburban community, but you want that quality of life as well. So
absolutely,
it's nice that developers are doing that.
So one of the big things that was on the ballot this year was Proposition 6, the big water bill. Tell us about that. What are your thoughts on that?
Proposition 6 is to guarantee our future economic growth and to provide water for our grandkids. And it was very, very important that we passed that constitutional amendment, which funds the $2 billion out of rainy day fund into a state water infrastructure bank.
So you feel like it was the right thing to do, to take that $2 billion out of the rainy day fund?
It was absolutely the right thing to do.
It was necessary.
And it helps support our economic growth for the future. I mean, the governor of the state has gone to California, Oklahoma, and other states to encourage economic development to the state, and businesses have been advertising in those states, don't go to Texas, they're running out of water. And that's how important it was to our state.
Yeah, and water, people take it for granted. They turn on the faucet and there it is, but it's when you don't have a faucet to turn on, it's not a good thing.
Well, in Northwest Harris County, a lot of my constituents during Ike were without electricity for 14 days. I can tell you can live without electricity for 14 days. You cannot live without water for 14 days.
So true, yeah.
So water is more important than anything else that we have.
Clean water, especially, just so important. So what are some of the projects that will be funded with that money?
They're up to the local municipalities or the MUD districts. They can request funds on its low-interest loans to those MUD districts or PUDs that would typically do those projects anyway, but there's a criteria set up based on your conservation, how much conservation of water are you doing, and the need and the potential growth.
So a lot of the projects that are going to be funded were already in motion to happen. Now they're just getting the funding for it. Okay. So do you think that this is going to pass on expense to the consumers? So, coming down the line? Are the MUDs going to have to pay more money? I know they're going to have interest on these loans now, but do you think that the cost of water is going to go up, and then that will in turn be passed on to consumers?
Well, this is projects that these MUDs or municipalities had to do anyway. I mean, they're infrastructure improvement projects that they would have to do. So that's going to be passed on to the consumer. The $2 billion in the state infrastructure bank is a low interest loan. So instead of paying 5 or 10% for that money, they can now get that money for 1%. So it's, in theory, supposed to be less money passed on to the consumer. But I know that I battle constituent issues with MUDs in my district every single day. And, there comes a point where the MUDs have to become more transparent. I know we had a bill, SB 14, Susan Combs' transparency bill this last session, that would require the MUDs and PUDs to post their financial records on a website. And that bill did not have the support to pass. But in going through those records, you see how much money the MUDs and the PUDs are spending on professional services or legal fees that isn't going to infrastructure investments that, we're paying for, constituents are paying for. So I think that this water plan will be helpful in holding the MUDs and PUDs and municipalities a little more accountable if they get this money.
I would definitely like to see them a little bit more transparent as well, because I think that this could be used as an excuse to raise, to raise water bills, and it's not necessary, as you said. It just is not necessary to do that.
And if it is, as a taxpayer, I don't mind. Just show me where the money's going. I want to know that the money's going into the infrastructure investments that I'm paying for, and not that it's going to build a community center.
Right. Yeah. Because the whole point of this is really to ensure that the state will have enough to fund water needs in the future. And it's important because no matter where you live, you got to have water.
Right.
It's very important. All right. Well, I hope that the cost of water does not increase in our area. We'll see. We'll soon see how this impacts things. So I know that there's something here locally that's very near and dear to your heart, the Pearl Museum. Tell us about that.
Well, it's a satellite facility of the Museum of Fine Arts in downtown Houston. It's one of the few in the country, because most of the time a satellite facility can't get the funding to build a facility that meets the standards for the art.
And y'all do have a nice facility.
Yes, and we do, and it was community supported. And as of a few months ago, we've had over 150 visitors into the Pearl since 2008. Our next segment that we're getting next year is the lunar photographs from one of the space missions. So the school kids that come to the museum are going to have a focus on STEMs, on the science and engineering technology. So this is giving the children in our school, most of them are economically disadvantaged schools that come to the Pearl, an opportunity to develop their creative side.
Is that mostly Spring ISD?
It's Spring and Klein. Okay. Klein is a big supporter of it. And they get to tour the exhibit, and then they go into a side room and they actually either paint or sculpt whatever the exhibit is. So they get hands-on experience after seeing the art. We're creating the next Picassos.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so tell us where the Pearl Museum is.
It's on Cypresswood Drive. It is west of Stubner Airline, over by the courthouse.
Okay, and tell us, is it free to go into this?
Yes, it is
free. Okay, so you could take your kids, go out there. They're open on Saturdays?
And Sundays, too. They're closed on Mondays.
Okay, Patricia Harless, she is a Texas State Representative for District 126. And if you've got questions, you can always call her. Office number is 281-376-4114. You can find her through the State of Texas website as well. If you want to chat with her online, she's out there and doing great things for the district. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate the work that you're doing and glad that you supported this water bill.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio. you.